Glances in the mirror were getting harder now. Carlos was getting younger at an alarming rate and his body was much smaller. He found his arms were much weaker to hoist his body up. He had to fight the seatbelt every time. "I don't know why I let you dress in those clothes, they are way too big for you," Mrs. Cagle said in motherly tone of regret. "When are we going to get home?" Carlos said worryingly and shocked by the sound of his own voice. Almost girlish, but had a boyish tone in it. "Soon, we got to make a little stop first," Mrs. Cagle said, sounding if a real treat was in store for him. Carlos was able to catch his reflection one last time before his arms were too short. He guessed that he looked 6 years old again. Worst of all was his face. To his disgust, it was cute and round. Years away from losing its pudgy look. His shorts were limp and huge over his small skinny legs. The shirt that was tight earlier now had nearly fallen down his body through the collar. "Stay where you are," Mrs. Cagle said as she parked the car in front of a building Carlos couldn't make out. Carlos struggled to unbuckle the seat belt. His fingers seemed to be too weak to push the release button. The passenger door opened just right of him. His mother, looking even taller and larger than before, was beaming down at him. Without a word, she hit the lever that reclined his seat back. Next, she unbuckled his belt as easily as he could have if he had the strength. Carlos was confused when she forced him to lay back. In the next second his eyes went wide with horror. With one fluid moment she had stripped him of his oversized shorts and underwear. Then his shirt came off in a flash. Carlos let out a cry of shame when he saw what was left of his manhood. A very small hairless version of his own teenage manhood. Carlos fought to get up, but his mother scolded and told him to be still. Carlos closed his eyes tight and hoped for the worst to be over. It was obvious that she was going to put some new clothes on him. He heard the shopping bag rustle as he felt her body lean over him as she reached into the back of the car. Thinking over how everything went so wrong, Carlos closed his eyes tight until he felt his mother put something between his legs that terribly felt like a diaper. Opening his eyes slowly, Carlos saw that he was half right. Training pants with Buzz Lightyear cartoon decorated all over it were now being adjusted by his mother. "At least she can't see my privates," Carlos thought with some small hope. A strange feeling of relief came over Carlos at that point. It appeared that he stopped getting younger, as his mother slipped a very small t-shirt over his head. "Why did I get so young?" Carlos thought as he looked at his pudgy hands and body. "Here we are, honey," his mom said as she lifted him up and pointed to the building they parked in front of. Carlos saw with some surprise that he was back at his old elementary school. "Look, Carlos, honey. Only one more year and you'll get to go here," Mrs. Cagle said very joyfully and pointing out the building unnecessarily. Carlos' stomach did a backflip. Thinking it over quickly, he thought he must be 4 or 5 years old now. Some of his thoughts must have formed an expression of disgust on his face that made Mrs. Cagle ask her next question. "You're not wet, honey, are you?" Mrs. Cagle said, and checking the front of his diaper. "No," Carlos said with another look of disgust, this time toward his mother. Carlos could guess from the look his mother gave him next was a little bit of shock. "You're so cranky today. I guess we better get you home for your nap," Mrs. Cagle said with slightly menacing tone in the form of a threat. Carlos was feeling happy again when his mother put in a booster seat in the back. He was going home and he was going to eat the other half that candy bar, then return back to his normal dull life. What a day, Carlos thought. Carlos sat in the seat quietly thinking over everything that had happened. His own sarcastic words he said to the ice cream vendor seemed to echo in his head. "What do you got to get me out of school and never have to return to school?" Never to return to school, Carlos thought grimly. Would that mean I'd be a toddler forever? Carlos asked himself after feeling his training diaper.